Greetings from Christian News and Interviews. So, attorney Malik Zulu Shabazz is in pull-up mode. And check this out. Attorney, author, and activist Malik Zulu Shabazz recently pulled up to a neighborhood said to be home to Carolyn Bryant, the 87-year-old white woman who admitted to falsely claiming she was sexually assaulted by 14-year-old Black teen Emmett Till in 1955, which led to his murder by white supremacists. Okay. And so I'm going to attach below the video that shows Malik Zulu Shabazz and a few of his friends going from apartment door to apartment door, knocking with a warrant in hand and demanding that she step out. It amounted to a clown show. Let me be very clear. I would love to see 87-year-old dementia-ridden Carolyn arrested. I would love to see her spend the rest of her life in jail. But in the scheme of things, there's nothing brave about getting a bunch of addresses of a woman who clearly is in hiding by her children and knocking on those doors with a camera in hand so that you can post to YouTube and elsewhere that you're tracking down this woman who's almost 90 years old with dementia. Since Mr. Shabazz is so determined to pull up, I would like to see him pull up in Chicago. Look at some of these headlines. Over 100 Chicago homicide cases closed without charges. Guess who the victims are? Black people. Guess who the perpetrators are? Most of them are Black people. Chicago crime and chaos is keeping tourists away, experts say. Guess who's causing the crimes in Chicago? Mostly Black people. Examining Chicago crime trends so far in 2022. Aldi abruptly closes Chicago grocery store, partly due to crime. Okay, that was 2 weeks ago. How Chicago is trying to stop shootings without the police. Good luck with that. Life and death on the Chicago streets. Good luck with that. Have police lost control of the streets of Chicago? Yes. And I could go on and on and on and on about Chicago, but instead I'm going to go to Philadelphia because Mr. Shabazz is looking to pull up somewhere. I'm going to give him some examples of places he can pull up. He and the Black Panthers can pull up to Chicago, and another place they can pull up to, Philadelphia. Listen to this. On assignment, Philadelphia's crime wave. ITV News. Look at this one. One of Philadelphia's most wanted murder suspects captured. Thank goodness. Look at this one. Philadelphia hits record homicides as rates rise across the United States. Look at this one. Multiple carjackings, robberies add to crime surge in Philadelphia. There's more. CBS News goes inside Philadelphia police unit investigating unsolved murders. There's more. Philadelphia homicides are up 34% in 2021. Well, I guarantee you it's even more in 2022. Crime without punishment, Philadelphia. So basically they're saying the same thing that Chicago said. cases are being closed without arrests because the police and the detectives don't care that the people being killed are Black people and that the perpetrators are, guess who? Black people. They don't care. They're just going to let Black people annihilate one another, take each other out. They don't care. And so these crimes are being, these hijackings, these homicides, all these cases are just being closed. Mr. Shabazz, you want to pull up? Pull up to Philadelphia. Look at this, deadly ambush inside Philadelphia corner store, caught on camera. I could go on and on and on and on and on. Suspect caught in double homicide in Philadelphia Gentlemen's Club. I could go on and on and on, but instead, let's take a trip to Baltimore. Teenagers often on both ends of rising violent crime in Baltimore. 32 murders in Baltimore City. Bleeding Baltimore, mapping the city's violent crimes and searching for solutions. You want to pull up somewhere, Mr. Shabazz? Pull up in Baltimore. They need you. Murder of police lieutenant's husband, the latest violent crime to stun Baltimore. Coping with Baltimore's murder rate, the New York Times. Baltimore's vacant houses are tied to crime and other dangers. Well, that's a good point. They need to knock these houses down. There was a time in Baltimore where these houses were solid, the neighborhoods were solid, but those days are long gone. Knock down the houses. I could go on and on and on. Oh, look at this. Baltimore is dying. Well, I have good news, bad news for you. Baltimore is already dead. Mr. Shabazz, you looking to pull up somewhere? Pull up to Baltimore. And let's take one more trip. Let's look at New York. New York struggles with the sharp rise in violent crime amid COVID-19. Don't blame it on COVID. What's behind the spike in violent crime across New York City? Let's see. Mayor Eric Adams on rising crime in New York. Extended interview. Is New York crime back to the 1980s? It's probably worse, actually. How dangerous is New York City right now? And again, I could go on and on and on and on and on, but I won't. Instead, let's see, inside New York City's most dangerous hood, South Bronx. New York City crime is out of control. Brutal subway hate crime caught on camera amid New York City transit surge. Okay, and by the way, New York police officers are retiring and basically walking off the job in record numbers, okay? So, Mr. Shabazz, Malik Zulu Shabazz, and about 7 to 10, if that many, Black Panther supporters have gone to search out an 87-year-old broken down on her way to Hades, probably. I'm not God, but if I were, on her way to Hades, lying Alzheimer's patient. That's who they're chasing down, knocking on her door or doors, addresses where she supposedly once lived. In spite of the fact that clearly she's not going to be at any of those addresses. She has sons. Her sons have her in hiding. But they'd rather go, I think it was in North Carolina or South Carolina, wherever it is that she's located. I can't remember if it was North Carolina or South Carolina. But at one point she was in Mississippi, but wherever she is, they'd rather go knock on these old addresses where she reportedly once lived, search for this old dementia-ridden woman, instead of going where they're really needed. Because that broken down woman can't hurt anybody else. Her days are numbered. But you know who does need Malik Shabazz? Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore, New York, Indiana, And I could go on and on and on about the places that could use Malik Zulu Shabazz's help. And it's not a broken down 87-year-old Alzheimer's patient named Carol. Okay? Stay tuned.